Welcome to the Heart of Civil War Heritage Area Annual Meeting. I'm Chris McMasters and I'm the chair and I welcome you. We want to thank especially Washington County for being this year's host. We're looking at beautiful cultural landscapes throughout the heritage area's westernmost county. I want to thank Antietam National Battlefield for allowing us to film here on location. So tonight we're looking back over this last year's physical year and spotlighting some of the targeted heritage investments we've made in the area. We're going to be listening to some inspiring words by Jackie Barton, Cultural Heritage Partners, and the Heritage team is going to be available tonight for questions. You need to use your chat button and hopefully we'll have some lively discussion. This year's theme is Shaping a Vibrant Future by Preserving and Interpreting the Past. And we have a great example in Hagerstown where the past and current investment of heritage area grants is doing just that. Sit back and enjoy a peek at development in the Hager House.
Hello, and welcome to the Jonathan Hager House Museum, located in beautiful, historic City Park in Hagerstown, Maryland. I'm Amy Riley, Recreation Coordinator for the City of Hagerstown, and with me is Emily Conrad and Kay Osmer, Recreation Assistants here with the City of Hagerstown. Today we're here to talk about some exciting new projects happening at the Jonathan Hager House that will serve to enhance the overall visitor's experience. Few cities which predate the founding of our nation itself can boast the legacy of the colonial homestead home of its founding father like we do here at the Jonathan Hager House Museum. Located in Hagerstown City Park, the Jonathan Hager House was purchased by the Washington County Historical Society in 1944 and has been an active museum since the 1950s, offering tours inside the historic home of the town founder, Jonathan Hager. We are open seasonally on Fridays and Saturdays and offer holiday programs in October and December. The current goal of the City of Hagerstown and the Jonathan Hager House Museum is to improve the overall visitor experience by improving accessibility for our visitors and updating our interpretive spaces to benefit first-time and repeat visitors. With the support of the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area, we have recently utilized their grant opportunities through the Maryland Heritage Area Authority to improve and expand our outdoor visitor experience. In 2019, we received our first mini-grant to reinterpret our historic Revolutionary War-era cannon, proudly on display in front of the historic home.
In 2020, we were awarded a project grant from the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area to expand our outdoor wayside exhibits. We created the Founders Trail with 5 outdoor exhibit panels to create a mini tour experience for our visitors any time of day, any time of year they may come to visit the site, even when the museum's not open for scheduled tours.
In an effort to support and serve the tourism surrounding the thriving city of Hagerstown and the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area, our next endeavor is to renovate our current museum space into an interactive interpretive visitor center. Originally built in 1962, the adjacent building has preserved and interpreted the past with a static display for decades. Our vision is to honor and enhance the original spirit of the museum, designed by local historian and president of the Restoration Committee, Mary Vernon Mesh. The plan is to renovate the less than 600-foot space into a multi-purpose exhibition and interpretive center that can service our community and bring the history of the Hager House to life. With another project grant from the Maryland Heritage Area Authority, we're currently in the first phase of the project, designing multiple new exhibits to highlight the various aspects of the museum, from Jonathan Hager and his frontier home Hager's Fancy to Hagerstown's infamous Little High School, with a new dedicated display case offering a new perspective on the historic artifact. With specially designed cases and exhibit areas and a multimedia presentation space able to display digital content or virtual tours, this new space will be able to adapt and grow with the museum. With a new and updated visitor center, the Jonathan Hager House Museum will be able to improve the overall visitor experience, engage our visitors with new dynamic and interactive displays, and expand our programming opportunities for upcoming events and anniversaries, such as the upcoming semi-quincentennial anniversary of America's independence and the not-too-distant tricentennial anniversary of Hager's purchase of this very property, his first homestead, Hager's Fancy, in 2039. We hope to continue working with the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area and the Maryland Heritage Authority for future grants and projects as we continue on to the second phase of our project, entering construction and production of our exhibits. We hope you can come and visit us at the Jonathan Hager House in the near future and see all the progress we've made in the next few years.
For more information about the Jonathan Hager House, to learn more about our programming, upcoming projects, and how to schedule a tour, you can visit our website at hagerhouse.org or follow us on Facebook at Hagerstown Parks and Recreation.
Wow, I don't know about you, but I am excited to see the new visitor center at the Hager House. But you know, it's not the only great experience you can have, and you don't have to wait. Come on out and take a walk on the Founders Trail, as well as pay a visit to the Museum of Fine Arts. That's where a Heritage Area mini grant has helped support an exhibit of the work of Joshua Johnson, an early African-American portrait painter. I'm Liz Chateau, and we're delighted that you've joined us tonight. I'm the director of the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area, and we're going to tell you some more about the investment that our Heritage Area and the Maryland Heritage Areas program has made to help shape that better future. Let's all pretend we are gathered here at the beautiful Maryland Theater, a historic venue that received a large Heritage Area grant and is now actively contributing to revitalization and a vibrant future for Hagerstown. Tonight, as I share selected highlights of fiscal year 2021, our focus is on the future through preservation and interpretation of the past. This 1862 Alexander Gardner photo shows the Middle Bridge and Newcomer Mill and Farm Complex outside Keedysville. That white rooftop at the upper right is the Newcomer House, where the Heritage Area operates a 3-county visitor center. More on our Newcomer House program in a minute, but this image is emblematic of both preservation, which at its core is future-focused investment, and interpretation, which builds connections to the people and places and experiences of the past that are transferable to the we of the present and the future. Everyone with us tonight has a role in building the vibrant future we envision. It's truly through our partnerships and collaborations that we make progress. Within the Heart of the Civil War Management, I'm grateful to team members Emily Hubner, Assistant Director, and Rachel Nichols, who manages the Newcomer House and helps with Washington County specific partners and concerns. Like our partners, much of our service in fiscal year 21 was delivered remotely, including trainings, webinars, and facilitated video chats. Here's an example Emily Hubner produced and moderated. It featured 3 case studies where organizations used social media to grow in new ways during the pandemic, including increases in gift shop revenue, audience engagement, and memberships, and progress none of our participant organizations anticipated at the height of COVID-19. We hope the program, which can be viewed on YouTube, encourages partner organizations to look at digital outreach with a fresh approach. Another enrichment project that got underway in fiscal year 21 is the work of summer intern John Echeverria, who worked on communications and media, but also pursued his interest in helping Heritage Area partners more effectively serve Spanish-speaking communities. His guidelines document is now available as a tool for partners on our website. With help from geocaching expert Mark Newberger and a team he assembled, we refreshed and enhanced the popular Civil War Geo Trail that originally launched in 2016. Several new cache locations, and an adventure lab that plunges participants into the role of a Civil War journalist on the hunt for a spy are stimulating trips throughout our 3 counties. Here you see the launch event at Washington Monument State Park in May. Thousands participate in this trail every year, including some that plan vacations around it as a bucket list item. And back to the Newcomer House. As you may recall, last year our operations shifted to visitor services offered from the porch, with increased outdoor recreation resulting in more hikers and geocachers. We found our docents were as busy as ever. Finally, our doors are open and we're able to share our most recent feature at the house, funded by the Delaplane Foundation, We produced a video with viewing area that introduces visitors to an array of opportunities throughout Washington, Carroll, and Frederick counties. Here you see our team from Ion Design, Ruth Bielabaki and David Guiney, who helped us with implementation of our visitor experience plan for the newcomer house. We continue to make progress on that plan and await word on some funding requests that will make possible a very exciting newcomer family vignette that we'd like to tackle as our next big project. Our last day for the season is December 4th, when we have a very special illumination planned to complement the Antietam Memorial illumination. Please stop by. Much of fiscal year 21 and the previous year as well was devoted to preparing a programmatic boundary amendment to expand the heritage area to include new areas in the city of Hagerstown and Washington County. That was a heavy lift, guided by our advisory council members in Washington County with support from the city and county governments, as well as our own Rachel Nichols. The Maryland Heritage Areas Authority approved the amendment in April, and as a result, more groups are eligible for Heritage Area services. Among them, the Hagerstown Aviation Museum received a grant for a visitor experience plan that will underpin exhibit development at the Fairchild Dome hangar, the museum's home. While the audience will discover Hagerstown's impressive 20th century and World War II aviation history, they will also have a chance to learn that aerial activity in the area began as early as 1862 with balloon corps activity following the Battle of Antietam. Another grant recipient in the expanded boundary is the Washington County Historical Trust, where restoration of the Sailor House is underway as a part of an adaptive reuse of the building as a center for historical and environmental education. A number of mini grants and a larger project grant are literally paving the way for the Battle of Falling Waters to be a better known and more visitable battlefield in Washington County. Did you know the last battle associated with the 1863 retreat occurred at Falling Waters near Williamsport? The Civil War Trail's wayside you see being installed here shares that story, and soon a parking area and bus pull-off will enhance future heritage tourism at this location. No trip to Gettysburg will be truly complete without a visit to see this battlefield in Washington County. Here you see the Antietam National Battlefield Visitor Center demolished interior at the lower right, and a sneak peek at one of the exhibit elements planned in part with help from a major heritage area grant. The interpretive experience here is going to be powerful. 2 consecutive mini grants made it possible for the Keedysville Historical Society to conserve and exhibit in a protective display at Town Hall the Pry family quilt from 1862. This adds a nice feature to the stretch of visitor opportunities along Route 34. A visit to the Newcomer House, the Pry Field Hospital Museum, and to Town Hall to see the quilt can be capped with a slice of Bonnie's famous red velvet cake at the Redbird. The adventurous could explore Crystal Grottos while in the neighborhood. Now that's heritage tourism and another way to put our past to work for the present and the future. And aren't we all crazy about quilts? The Carroll County Farm Museum has an extensive collection that will be surveyed by a conservator in preparation for a new exhibit to be planned as a complement to the highly popular barn quilt trail in that county. In fact, several other partner organizations in proximity to the barn quilt trail have indicated that they too may plan complementary displays and programs. Major investment has been directed at the historic Durbin House in Westminster. This historic structure in Wakefield Valley Park will become a welcoming place for visitors to the park and a nice addition to a Gettysburg-bound itinerary. Starting with the Historic Structures Report makes this a model project that other partners may want to follow. Yes, we do like to see a well-thought-out plan, and a visitor experience plan is underway at the National Shrine Grotto of Lourdes at Mount St. Mary's University in Emmitsburg along the Mason-Dixon line. Included will be ways to introduce visitors to the unique vantage point students and seminarians had to experience panoramic views of the Battle of Gettysburg, and the little-known story of Father John Hughes, who once occupied this cabin. During the Civil War, he helped end the critical 1863 draft riots in New York City and visited Europe as President Lincoln's personal agent in a successful effort to counteract pro-Southern feeling there. As you see, CATOCTIN Furnace Historical Society enjoyed many phases of restoration, rehabilitation, and exhibit development that benefited from heritage area grants. And now the Museum of the Ironworker is open in the village adjacent to the furnace. This project and several others spearheaded by the Historical Society have contributed to a recent increase in visitation at the furnace by more than 500%. Once again, investment in the past is paying off. But it's not all about the dollars and cents associated with heritage tourism. The projects we support introduce visitors to the places, experiences, and people of the past, often with transformative results. Meeting these enslaved individuals who labored at CATOCTIN Furnace, literally forging this nation, is an unforgettable experience. Throughout the heart of the Civil War heritage area, people discover their place in time through stories of their families, communities, and the nation. These stories of freedom and equality, injustice and struggle, loss and achievement, and courage and triumph help us recognize our common humanity and impact people's personal values that guide them through life. This may be the most important way that our work preserving and interpreting the past shapes a vibrant future.
Hi, I'm Dennis Fry, a co-founder of the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area and immediate past president of the organization. You have benefited so many times from the efforts that you yourself put into making history come alive here in our heritage area. And we've been so fortunate that we've been able to assist you, especially with grant money. But none of that happens without a plan. You know our plan. You know our plan very well because you don't get grant money unless you understand and comprehend our plan. But plans are not static. Plans should evolve. And that's exactly what we're doing now. We've embarked on a new strategic plan for our heritage area, and we're really excited about it. And I'm especially excited to introduce the facilitator of this strategic planning process for us. Jackie is an exceptional mind with great creative abilities and an ability to take something that's very, very complex and bring it all together. And she helped us create our original comprehensive plan way back about 16 years ago now in 2005. So she knows our heritage area, she knows the players, she knows many of you, and she's spoken already with many of you over the last few months as she's been preparing to put this together. She comes to us with great qualifications and lots of experience, but my favorite is, she's a Buckeye from Ohio, and my favorite aspect of that is that she actually coordinated the Civil War 150th, the Civil War sesquicentennial for the state of Ohio. And so she's got a lot of experience with historic museums, historic sites. In fact, she actually was in charge of historic sites in the state of Ohio for the state. And so we couldn't be happier to have Jackie working with us in creating this new strategic plan. Your input's important. She knows how to solicit that input, and she's going to get you really, really thrilled about what we're doing. Strategic planning, how can that be thrilling? Well, just listen.
Thank you to the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area staff and board for having me here, and to the Rural Maryland Council for supporting the development of the Heritage Area's strategic plan. When Liz Chateau asked me to give this speech, she asked me to inspire you. No pressure. And I sat with that for a while. I thought about what's happening in the world, what's happening with tourism and cultural organizations, and it got a little heavy for a minute. Our work in public history has always faced challenges. Visitation numbers, the predicted death of the Historic House Museum model, September 11th, the emphasis of STEM over the humanities, and the challenges we face right now are as hard as any that we have faced in the past. And then I remembered, we've got this. I've been working in public history since 2002, and my team at the Ohio History Center had a saying, a sort of battle cry, for when we were facing a tough moment. We've got this. We'd sit down, assess the situation, and identify the opportunity in it. We've got this encompassed the resources we brought to the table, the way we could flip the lens on a challenge, and how a full look at the information could reveal opportunity where once things looked troublesome. Today, I want to examine two realities that might feel challenging, but that ultimately offer significant opportunity for the heart of the Civil War heritage area. Our first reality is that the pandemic is a major level of change that has shaken our travel and leisure patterns like so much confetti, and we're still sorting out which trends are here to stay in the long term. Initially, COVID gutted the tourism industry. The Brookings Institution tells us that leisure and hospitality was the most COVID-19 impacted industry. It suffered the highest income and job losses of any other sector. For a year, hotel bookings were 50% of pre-COVID levels, sometimes more depending on which type of hotel we were talking about. Museums were closed or operating at bare minimums. Stores and restaurants were in an ever-changing environment of regulations, semi-closures, and consumer safety concerns. Internationally, tourist arrivals declined by 73% in 2020 over 2019, according to the World Travel Organization. Tourist arrivals in January through May of this year over the same period for 2020 were down 65%. You already know this, you lived it. But you may also know that now that the pandemic is loosening, there's immense pent-up travel for demand. The U.S. Travel Association reports more than 9 of 10 American travelers have indicated that they have travel plans in 2021. At the same time, people are traveling differently. The U.S. Travel Association also tells us in its October 2021 monthly travel data report that hotel bookings are just 3% below 2019 levels, but airline bookings are 24% below 2019 levels. Similarly, Jim Heckers at Impacts Experience tells us that 2 travel trends that they're predicting to be with us for quite a while are that people are opting for shorter trips, mostly day trips, and preferring car travel as their means of transport, aligning with the data that we saw from U.S. Travel Association. All of this translates to more first-time visitors to some of our sites. When we reflect on these trends, consider this region has immense metro regions within driving distance. On the slide, you can see that there are millions of potential travelers within just an hour or just over 2 hours in some cases. This is a marketing opportunity to attract automobile trip travelers for day trips or overnight visits to the heritage areas. With so many people working from home, there's an opportunity to capture weekend trips from close by audiences that have been working from home all day, every day, all week. It's no wonder we're hungry to travel. And there's a real opportunity to capture these shorter trips and car trips that the data is predicting. Once they get here, you've got this. Impacts Experience predicts that many of these visitors will be first-time visitors. These new, potentially more diverse audiences can be repeat visitors if you can meet or exceed their expectations in terms of storytelling, COVID-era expectations and concerns, and iconic, unique, attractive local heritage and culture. This region is an embarrassment of riches, staffed by committed, talented people. With a coordinating regional body in the heart of the Civil War heritage area, you're ready to align your message and experience to motivate and provide a great visit to an array of often first-time audiences that haven't been as accessible to you in the past. Our second reality concerns the increasing complexity of the context for public history leadership, frontline interpretation, and everything else we do at historic sites and museums. It often feels that our work requires us to not only understand our craft, but to understand human nature. We arguably need to be trained in sociology, if not psychology or group therapy, to engage in storytelling and public engagement in today's environment of historical trauma and civil discord. Several years ago, historians were wringing their hands that Americans didn't know any history and that we had to make history relevant to them. Well, the Black Lives Matter protests of 2020 revealed that the Civil War era in particular was better understood and felt to be more relevant than we ever believed it was. It is, in fact, relevant in real, visceral ways that impact people's lives and require us to spend time together in discovery and civil discourse. There's increasing public understanding that some of the most difficult issues plaguing our nation, those of racial equality and inclusiveness, are directly tied to the legacies of slavery, the unrealized promise of Reconstruction, and the eras of constricting African American rights following the end of the Reconstruction era. According to a student leader of activism in Virginia who sat on a workshop panel about Confederate monuments in Richmond, it was never about these statues per se. It is about equity, fairness in housing, employment and wages, safety, and access to food and other resources. The statues were symbols and settings, they're symptoms. This is authentic relevance already in place, and navigating it as an on-site docent or educator can be challenging if your previous training didn't prepare you for it. It's clearly about much more than monuments alone. Our civil chaos has spilled into a much broader civic expression, bringing a charged and divisive political environment to almost every sector, from health to education to public history. Attendees at countywide listening sessions we held in September reported visitors with strong political viewpoints at their sites and museums, generating uncomfortable situations for docents and interpreters. Sites that added newly uncovered research are sometimes put on the defensive for changing history, despite the responsibility of social scientists and historians to incorporate new research into their work. And yet, take a deep breath, some hard work and a commitment to knowing better and doing better, and maybe we've got this. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. And interestingly, our individual visitors may not be as divided as we think based on the news. Values and universal human experiences, for example, still connect us all. Universal human experiences are things like birth and death, rituals like marriage and childbirth. And the study by the Siena College Research Institute found that although Americans were split on items like the presidential election or gun control, when asked about core values like equality, liberty, and progress, they answered similarly, regardless of political views. Connection may offer a greater challenge today, but museums and historic sites have long-time practice in making connections through exhibitions, outreach, and programs. We've also been working on these connections for decades. Public historians began discussing shared authority decades ago, incorporating it into museums' work. Shared authority is a specific process of engagement by which traditional historical authorities, like museums and public historians, share an interpretation and meaning making with the public and with visitors. In the past couple decades, increasing diversity and inclusion in our audiences, staff, boards, and volunteer corps have become primary goals for many cultural organizations. The American Alliance of Museums 2017 Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Working Group found that inclusion is central to the effectiveness and sustainability, including the financial sustainability of museums. We know that to serve a community well, we must reflect and welcome that community well. And though this work is not easy, and I truly hesitate to say we've got this at the risk of sounding flippant, I do believe that your position as a Civil War heritage area gives you a great edge when thinking about making deeper connections on meaningful topics across diverse communities. Civil War history connects directly to who we are today, helping us understand and process our current day lives. Political upheaval, war, military service, medical science, loss and grieving, how our families and communities come together during trauma or do not, racial discrimination. These are all topics we still see and experience today. Connecting individual understanding with collective experience and historical narrative is what we do. It's how to ensure both relevance and learning at our sites and museums, and we've been practicing it for a while. This greater inclusion and connection to the present is the next step required of us. In conclusion, you have today, right now, an immense opportunity to be part of the state's and region's recovery from COVID. You will be defining what post-COVID heritage and cultural tourism norms are, and working together as the attractions and destinations that drive visitation to this region. At the same time, you can help this community and its visitors heal by providing a healthier civic platform for understanding, discourse, and engagement. As historical organizations, you have the magical mixture of knowing where we've been and how that relates to who we are and what we're becoming. Be willing to help your audiences make those connections. And don't worry, with the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area supporting and connecting you, you've got this.
Thank you, Jackie. We are so fortunate to have Jackie Barton as our consultant for strategic planning. This is made possible by a grant from the Rural Maryland Council. And you're invited to be a part of that. We have surveys coming up, a virtual listening session. We want all of you to help contribute to our plan for the next 6 years so that we're establishing directions that are going to be responsive to our communities and the needs that they tell us they'd like the heritage area to help fulfill. And now, I'd like to direct your attention to one more great effort sponsored by Heritage Area Investment that is benefiting our visitors and residents alike.
ARCH, the African American Resources, Cultural, and Heritage Society, is pleased to announce the African American Heritage Center for Frederick County, Maryland, at 125 East All Saints Street in downtown Frederick, Maryland. Opening is slated for 2023. The ARCH Society identifies, collects, preserves, and makes publicly accessible through our programs and services the objects, artifacts, and stories about the history, rich heritage, and culture and contributions of African Americans in Frederick County, past and present, and in doing so educates, enriches, and enlightens this and future generations. For over 2 decades, the Society has offered and presented educational, enriching, and community-focused programs and services. Our annual Living Treasures Banquet recognizes, honors, and celebrates the community elders. ARCH Family History Fairs bring the community together to share the history of families, churches, and organizations, and offer opportunities to research family ancestors and to appreciate the importance of preserving African American history. Our cemetery restoration and preservation projects preserve African American legacies and stories by caring for and restoring these sacred sites. ARCH walking tours bring to life the history and stories about the thriving African American communities of historic All Saints Street and the surrounding area. ARCH Reads promotes reading and literacy and encourages young children and their parent and guardians to celebrate African American culture based on books read by a local resident. ARCH presentations and displays bring the stories of African Americans in Frederick County to broad generational and cultural audiences at local schools and libraries. Centrally located in a prime location in downtown Frederick that boasts other cultural and tourist attractions, the Delaplane Arts Center, Sky Stage, and the Frederick Visitor Center, the ARCH Heritage Center will add to the vibrancy of downtown Frederick's historic district. As visitors of all ages and cultural backgrounds from Frederick County, the region, and the nation walk into ARCH Society's new Heritage Center, they will enter into a dynamic hub of activity, learning, exchange, sharing, and education. In the center, and through the resources offered by the Society, they will participate in programs and activities, undertake research, learn about and experience the cultural objects that tell the rich and compelling stories and history about African Americans in Frederick County. ARCH extends a special thank you to the Maryland Civil War Heritage Area for providing critical grant funding for our historian, interpretive plan, and Heritage Center project and construction management.
It's a 3,200 square foot building. We are now able to start the process and getting it to museum with the great help of some free bono work by Profit and Association, the architect firm that has done the work. And hopefully this building will come to fruition by mid-23.
I am excited for ARCH to become the place where community gathers to experience history and to learn about the impact that African Americans had and still continue to have on Frederick County today.
The history of Frederick isn't complete until the stories of all of our residents are being told, and that's what makes this project so exciting.
The Heart of the Civil War is so excited to be a part of helping the ARCH Center come to fruition. ARCH is about everything that we embrace, shaping a vibrant future by preserving and interpreting the past. Well, these are exciting developments in our heritage area, and I cannot wait for the doors of the ARCH Center to open. Now let's take a minute to thank those in leadership for their essential assistance to our heritage area. First, our elected officials.
We enjoy broad support from Governor Hogan and the state delegations in each of our counties. Even better, they put money in where it counts. In the Maryland Heritage Area Program budget that allows us to facilitate grants to our nonprofit and local government units. In 15 years, more than $6.7 million in Heritage Area grants have come directly to entities in Carroll, Frederick, and Washington counties. We also thank our local elected officials. This year, for the first time, grants from our 3 largest municipalities, Hagerstown, Westminster, and Frederick, are helping to make our good work possible. Our board, you'll see them here, is dedicated, hardworking, and wise. 2, Alyssa Pullen and Gary Rohr, have completed their terms on the board, and we're most grateful for their gifts of time, talent, and treasure over the years. The board of directors is supplemented by a 21-member advisory board with representation from each of our counties. This group provides technical assistance and assures that we are center-focused on our grassroots level. And of course, I want to thank all of you. Our combined efforts make this heritage area a success possible. And now I'm proud to spotlight work in my own backyard at Union Mills in Carroll County.
In a wide valley between Westminster, Maryland and Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, lies the Union Mills homestead. Big Pipe Creek, at the center of the valley, provides a steady source of water to power the site's grist mill. Visitors to Union Mills enjoy the sights and sounds of grains being ground into flour or cornmeal, just as in generations gone by. Union Mills, as the name suggests, is a grist mill, and we are so lucky to have this wonderful old mill to tell the Union Mills story. But Union Mills is so much more. When Andrew and David Shriver founded Union Mills back in 1797, they included a variety of other industries, including a tannery. Our challenge is how to tell the tannery story when so little of the tannery remains. In 2018, the Union Mills homestead identified the need for a more comprehensive review of cultural resources related to the site, with a focus on the Shriver Tannery. With a grant award from the Maryland Heritage Areas Authority, the organization commenced a Phase 1A archaeological assessment and a historic resources study. And in 2020, Union Mills launched a more detailed archaeological study directed to the tannery. Grant funds from the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area were critical to the project.
The Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area mini-grant program exists to help fund non-capital projects in the heritage area. And so it helps work on tourism product development. It helps organizations pursue non-capital projects like this archaeology here at Union Mills Homestead, so they can then develop new visitor experiences and tell new stories at their sites.
We're conducting archaeological testing today in this site, at the site, the suspected or purported site of the tannery here at Union Mills. Specifically, we're looking for the physical evidence of the tannery through the excavation of a unit. We, a couple months ago, started the process with very detailed historical research, part of a larger project to complete a historic resource study for all of Union Mills, the entire cultural landscape that includes the buildings, as well as the, all of the outbuildings, including the house, everything that we see here at Union Mills and in the whole property. And part of that was to identify the location of resources that are no longer standing, that are no longer visible on the surface of the ground. And one of those, and really probably the most important of those, is the tannery. So we began with a ground penetrating radar survey, and that survey was conducted in order to try to pinpoint where the vats of the tannery might be if they were still hidden under the ground. And after that ground penetrating radar survey was completed and analyzed, we were able to specifically locate areas that could then be excavated to basically ground truth, if you will, the location of the resources hidden under the ground. When you look at the ground, you can't see any evidence of the tannery now, so it's a complete mystery, or it would be a complete mystery as to where the tannery actually stood, except that we have the evidence from the ground penetrating radar, and now today we're seeking and actually getting direct evidence of the location of the tannery.
Grant funding from the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area is critical for a small organization like the Union Mills Homestead to better tell its story and to provide a more comprehensive and relevant visitor experience.
Are you feeling inspired? You can be part of future successes. The Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area Board matched my gift for $5,000. Now we challenge you, our community, to match the board's $10,000. Like many of your organizations, the Heritage Area is a nonprofit. We can't serve you and generate such impressive impact without your financial support. Donations of any amount will help to meet our $10,000 challenge. But for those of you who act quickly, we can award a Maryland Community Investment Tax Credits that will return 50% of the value of eligible gifts. Our director, Liz Chateau, is eager to discuss with you that option. Annual appeal information is on its way to you, and you are always welcome to make an online gift through our website, heartofthecivilwar.org. I hope you will be generous so we can continue to serve our community and shape a vibrant future by preserving and interpreting the past.